guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to those that are just joining for the first time. I hope you'll be blessed by what I have in store. So this vlog is going to be a continuation of the last vlog that I posted, and if you haven't seen that already or you can't remember, it's linked in this video, so yeah, you'll know where this one's coming from. But I thank you all that have been watching and supporting. I really appreciate it and it is really encouraging, and I pray that you guys will be blessed by this one. And now this is my story. So my granddad has just passed away, and you would think that that was enough, but the enemy just keeps bringing stuff. And I remember that it started to get like overwhelmingly stressful because there was so much tension. Think about it, I don't know any of you that have unfortunately lost a loved one or someone that's very close to you. You can kind of understand where I'm coming from with this, but losing someone just brings out like all kinds of stresses. And my family, I just remember, just kept arguing over the littlest things, and it wasn't like me and my cousins, but it was the siblings, so my granddad's children, so my mum and her siblings. And there was just like constant arguments, constant disagreements, and it was just, wow, it was just overwhelming. And the one that I really remember, which was one of the hardest ones to see, was one between one of my aunties and my uncle. And I remember we went to my granddad's house because my family had now decided that the funeral was going to be on the 18th of January, so it was quite soon after he passed. And so we were at my granddad's house, as I said, on this occasion. And I remember we were looking for, he wanted a specific suit for that he wanted to be buried in, and like my family were looking for it. And as you can see, like it starts from the littlest things, but when you're dealing with loss, there's so many different emotions all flying around. And I can't even remember how it stemmed from this, but my auntie and uncle started arguing, like proper arguing. I myself was like very stressed out and scared by it because I've seen my mum and her siblings mess about and they argue, but it's like kind of a jokey, light-hearted kind of argument. It's not really an argument then, I guess, but it's just what siblings do. But this one like really like shook me up because I've never seen my auntie and uncle that angry. Actually, I can't remember if my auntie was angry, but definitely my uncle, I've never seen him that angry before, and it was really scary for all of us that were there. And I remember that me and my sisters went outside, me and my younger sisters went outside of my granddad's house, and we're just praying. And I remember we were crying, we were really upset because we're thinking all of this stuff is going on. We've just lost granddad, and then just all these arguments. It was, gosh, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just so stressful. And I remember after we prayed, and I kind of had to pray by myself, and then I decided to pray to call Natalie. And thank you so much, Natalie, because you, during that season, all I kept doing was calling Natalie. So I'm so surprised she wasn't sick of me at that time. But it's so important, guys, to have someone there that you know will encourage you in the Lord, because as I've said before, there is only so much we as human beings can do, but there is so much that God can do. God can do above and beyond what you can ask or imagine. So I spoke to Natalie, and then I was just explaining about the argument and stuff because I was really upset at the time. I remember I was crying, and she kind of put it into perspective for me, because those of you that have lost loved ones, you know that sometimes you start to think really irrationally. So then she kind of got me like looking straight again, and then she was like, you just have to kind of be patient with it. It's going to be difficult for you all, and especially for your mum and her siblings, because they've just lost their dad. And like this, as I said, the enemy just kept attacking during the season. I'm like, what is up? What is wrong with you? Why are you still attacking? Like, we've already lost granddad. That was such a big hit. And it just like little things and just arguments kept going on. And it wasn't just between this auntie and that uncle that I just mentioned before. It was my mum and other siblings and stuff, and it was just a lot. And I remember that even to the day of the funeral, there was still like things about how the service was going to go, because my granddad was very good at planning like everything. Like he had all his finances in place to help with the cost of the funeral and all of that. He knew what he wanted to wear, so he had all of that. But the only thing that, well, from what I know, because I am a grandchild, so I don't know everything, but the only thing that granddad didn't like explicitly make clear was how he wanted the service to go. So my granddad was a Christian, so my family kind of knew. So when I say family, I kind of mean my mom and her siblings, but they knew that he wanted like a church, a sermon kind of church setting funeral. I was trying to think how to explain this to you guys. I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope you guys understand what I mean. But he would want something to be done in church. So with that also came with its problems. As I said, not all of my family go to church, and not all of my family are Adventists. So not all of my family are Christian, to be honest. So that came with its own tensions, and it was just a lot. Even because me and my sisters were kind of employed to help with the whole layout, because as I said, we were the ones that were like Christians, the ones that were in church, so we knew kind of how it should and kind of would go. So we were doing that, but then everyone's like speaking in your ears. People are shouting, oh, we don't want this, oh, granddad wouldn't want that, granddad wouldn't want this, and all of that like kind of stress. And you're just like stressing out. And bearing in mind I was supposed to be at university, so I'm getting all of that stress from university, them kind of asking me what's going on, asking me about lectures and saying that I've missed loads of content and work. At this point that I really couldn't, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I was like, I don't really care what they're saying. Like, I've just lost my granddad. I don't want to think about anything else. I just want to focus on like being with my family, trying to be there to support. And I just kept praying about it. I remember this season was the season that I was praying so much. And sometimes I'm guilty of this, but sometimes we spend time praying to God the most when we're in difficult situations. But then when it kind of is good situations, we don't pray as much, because I know that this season I prayed so much with my family because everything was just piling on top of each other. So as I said, me and my sisters were helping sort out the program, and yeah, just, oh gosh, I can remember it now, and it was just so much stress. And then I remember the day of the funeral was actually the same day that one of my exams were on, but I was like, it's a no-brainer, I'm obviously not going to do my exam. But I kind of still had to be praying and asking God like what I should do. And I remember the prayer that I kept praying was peace. Lord, I just want to have peace in this situation. I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, God, I just really need peace, and all of my family does, because there's so many things going on and everyone's getting angry and upset. And I was just like, God, my family just needs peace, please, Lord. So the day of the funeral came, and I remember, oh my gosh, whew, even thinking about it, guys, sorry, it's difficult. I remember that we went, and even the day of the funeral, the morning of the funeral, there was still some problems, not as bad as they had been, but there were still some problems. We got to the church, and my family decided on an open casket, so the coffin was open, so I could see my granddad. And I remember at first I couldn't go over to the coffin. I just didn't even look in it, because I was like, I'm going to burst out in tears, and I was trying to stay strong for my family. And I remember me and my sisters started singing the song How Deep the Father's Love. And yeah, after we sang that song, like, I made it through this whole song, I wasn't crying. My youngest sister started crying, but then after we'd finished, I kind of looked over at everyone else, and all of my family were crying, and I was just like, oh my gosh, and I just burst out into tears, because it kind of became, I don't know how to explain this to you guys, because I obviously knew that granddad had passed, but it became so real at that moment that he had passed, because I was like, Chelsea, like, this is it, like, you're not seeing him, he's sleeping now, you're not gonna just go the next day and see him at his house. And it kind of hit at that moment, and I just started crying. And I remember all my church family were there, so I was so thankful for them, and they were trying to encourage. I remember even sitting with I call her, she's kind of like my church auntie, Auntie Bridge. And I remember I was there and I was crying and she was just hugging me, and it felt so nice. But you know, you kind of just like crying. And then it was so weird, because it's like at that moment God answered the prayer that I've been praying for, to give peace. Because by the time we got to the burial ground, like the atmosphere, I don't even know how to explain it to you guys, but the atmosphere like just changed completely, to the point I was like, wait, why am I not feeling sad like I was? Like, should I be crying? Should I be like more upset? But all I could do was thank God for the peace that I felt, and the peace that you could kind of see in my family too. And not only that, but I had to thank God so much for the time that I got to spend with Granddad. And now looking back at it, I can just like smile, because even though like it's still sometimes difficult to talk about my granddad and him passing, like you saw in my last vlog if you watched it, I just have times when I just remember, like I can't even explain it to you guys. Like I just felt so at peace, and I was like, God, I know this is 100% from you, because this does not make sense whatsoever. And that being said, I kind of want to read this verse from Philippians 4 verses 6 and 7. And it says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God." Verse 7. "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." And I just want to encourage you guys, those of you that are going through situations, those of you that feel stressed, those of you that are really struggling, especially during this pandemic, I want to encourage you to trust God with all of your problems, with your situation, your circumstances. I want you to trust him. And I know this from my own experiences. Trusting God really makes a difference. And when you see the way, I can't stop smiling, when you see the way that God answers those prayers, you'll be like, wow, I know this is 100% from God, because the peace that he gives you just is beyond our understanding, beyond all of our understanding. Because at that time when I thought I should be crying, I should be breaking down, this is like one of the worst days like ever. Losing Granddad was one of the worst things ever. I should be crying. My family shouldn't be happy, in a sense, like not happy like, oh, they were happy Granddad had passed, no, not like that, but just, I don't know, I still can't explain it. And that is the beauty of God, because the way that he just brought that peace, like it just was like it just washes over you. And I just thank God every day, and I'm encouraging you to trust God. He knows your situations. He is with you. He is in the situation with you. And when you trust him fully and you just say, God, you know what? I can't do this. And you pray, as it says in verse 6 of Philippians 4, you just pray with thanksgiving and you make your request known to God. You are going to see the way God answers. And this is the thing, God always answers. It may not be straight away. You may be going through financial difficulty now because of the current situation. You may have lost people in this pandemic. There may be various things. There's so much going on. And honestly, my prayers are going out to everyone affected, because I know it's been so hard for so many people. In fact, I think for everyone. But when you take it to God and you give it to God fully, you are going to see the way that he's going to work. As I said, it might not happen instantaneously. You might not pray and then the problem is sorted, but God is always watching. God is always providing, strengthening, supporting, comforting. And when you get that answer, and the peace that comes with that, you're going to be like, wow, this is from God, because this makes no sense. This makes no sense why I should be so peaceful. So I encourage you today, as I said again, I keep saying this because I want you to understand, when you give it to God, you are going to experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that is how it was for me and my family, because I can imagine that everyone thought they were going to feel and be a lot worse than they were on that day. And I thank God every single day for it. I really do. So I hope you guys were encouraged, and please, if you have a testimony to share, I would love to hear from you. I've been so blessed, and I know so many people have been blessed by the ones that I've already posted. And if you haven't seen them already, please go and check them out on my channel. And I pray that you guys will be encouraged to share your testimonies, because you don't know how it's going to encourage someone else, because it's the working of God in your life, and your testimony is the greatest witness of God's love. It really is, because not everyone will stand and pick up a Bible, but most people will listen to your story, and people that you think that you couldn't even touch can be touched by a testimony, because it's your life, and you being here, them seeing how you've changed is really relatable. So I hope you guys were blessed, and that you will be encouraged to share your testimonies. Please keep supporting, because I really appreciate all the support you guys give. It just encourages me to keep doing and keep posting, even as hard as this is most of the time to do. But please keep liking, keep commenting, keep sharing, and I can't wait for you guys to see what's next. So please, if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to my channel, so you can be updated on vlogs to come, and even special things and features that I am praying to God about doing later on this channel. So I don't want you to miss out on anything. So please do subscribe, as I said. And I hope once again that you guys were blessed, and that you'll be with me for the next one. Bye.